Hello and welcome back to another episode of SuperCoach Insider. My name is Ben.
And I'm Chris.
And thank you for joining us for our St Kilda podcast, Chris.
Yes, a little bit interesting. I think very similar to Port Adelaide in the fact that very, very variable in terms of how they're going to start this year. So definitely SuperCoach relevant, but it's going to be interesting to see how they all line up. That will have a big impact on where we rate our players. So
fair enough.
Could almost be a bit early to be having this podcast because we really don't know. But
so much unknown. But what we do know, Chris, is our socials, facebook.com/SC Insider.
Yep.
And Twitter, it is SC_Insider_. And on Twitch, Chris.
Twitch.tv/SC_Insider and on all major podcast platforms. And YouTube, of course.
Yes.
We've been smashing YouTube's going great. Thanks. Shout out to all of our YouTube guys.
Yes, thank you very much. We actually didn't realise. Now we've started to put the good quality of the audio to match the video. Because normally we edit the audio, do it separately.
Yeah.
So we're linking all those up. And now people are commenting on all the YouTube. And we're like, holy crap, there's all these comments on YouTube. So we're trying to start, comments
We're getting
everywhere.
a lot of feedback on YouTube, which is absolutely fantastic and we love it. So keep it coming. And we'd be happy to have that comments through. You can also comment on all of our podcasts as well.
Yes,
on
correct.
Soundwave. So if you want to jump on there, you can actually
and
jump on, make some comments, and we'll
don't
be able
forget,
to
if you
respond
are
to
interested, our season will be coming up shortly on the Twitch series. So jump onto Twitch. We let you know. We'll probably have consistent times for this year, more than we've had. We'll probably be more consistent for timing this year compared to any other season we've had, I think, Chris, which is great. So you'll be able to jump on, watch us live, add some comments in there, shout us out, buy us some beer.
Sounds good, yes.
Well,
the beer is important.
As we do, we normally have a beer on a podcast. So if you are really interested in a beer and you want to tell us about it, we will happily drink it. We'll shout out to it and to you, and we'll show everyone the lovely beer that we're drinking and our thoughts on it.
Sponsors every week. I love it.
Well, it's basically hashtag blessed and banter worthy. And we are all about the banter. So it's a couple of boys talking... talking smack and SuperCoach relevancy.
And having some fun, which is what it's all about.
It is.
Now,
St Kilda,
jumping into St Kilda. So they do have the round 12 bye, of course. So that's the early bye again. So again, an upgrade type thing, which I actually don't think is that bad for St Kilda.
I think it's a really good idea because you get a lot of knowledge and you get to watch half a season of football to
establish their roles.
Know
what's coming through. So
how many players did they pick up, Chris?
You'll
tell me in a second.
We're going to go through all of them.
Oh man, so many.
They have a fairly tough fixture early as well. So the first 6 games. Here's what's really interesting. If they want to play finals this year, and I think they potentially could, geez, they're going to want to come out of this top 6. This first 6 games good. So they don't, however, leave Victoria until round 9, which is great. But they only have 1 game away from Marvel as well, which is in round 5 against Geelong at GMHBA. But the first 6 is Roos, Eagles, Tigers, Demons, Cats, and Crows. That's a tough 6 rounds.
Oh, hang on. So do that one more time.
So Roos, Eagles,
lose,
Tigers,
lose,
Demons, who they've usually got the wood over,
win,
Cats,
lose,
Crows,
win. 3 and 3. And
so they want to win those 3, right? They want to win against the Roos, the Demons, and the Crows.
Basically, they want to win the 50-50s, and then they want to upset at least one of those 3 sides.
And then they'd be looking at finals really nice.
Looking good. Okay, righto.
Difficult run home, but it is slightly manageable. So they start with the Lions away in round 19, then they've got the Hawks at home, Freo away, the Cats at home, and Carlton at home in round 23. So nice little buffer right there at the end of the season before they hit the finals. The double-ups, of course, Cats, Blues, Freo, Crows, and Demons. So that's pretty good for them.
Yeah.
I'd say that they should make finals based on that.
Well, I think based on the fact that they probably didn't have... Well, they had a fairly good year, but they have a better draw because of it.
Obviously, yeah. I mean, it was a disappointing year, but it did meant that I think that, in my opinion, they finished below expectations. I expected them to come out last year and approach the 8.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit upsetting for them.
I think I had them at 8th. So
yeah.
Very
and
upset.
Look, injuries, of course, played a huge role in this. Their backline basically fell to pieces in the preseason. Injuries to key players like Robertson, Carlisle, Geary, Webster, and Stephen, as well as Pearce and Nathan Brown, basically forced them to say, okay, well, we got to play the kids. They did, of course, unearth some talent. So Callum Wilkie, I thought, was really good last year as a rookie. Whether he plays this year, I don't know, because they've obviously drafted in some guys. Carlisle's fit, Robertson's fit. So I have to see whether or not he gets an opportunity at senior level again this year. And they've really had a strange off-season, which they basically went, let's get everyone in.
Well, I don't think it was the fact of, hey, let's get everyone in, but it was, I think they put out quite a lot of feelers to strengthen their side, and everyone wanted to go to them. Well, here's my question, Chris, before you jump in.
Fair enough.
How upset would you be if you were North Melbourne, and you have tried heartlessly to get a good player or many players, and all you get is a fucking Polek, right? And now St Kilda, they put out a few feelers.
They've got the second coming in, Aiden Bonner. He's going to completely change their list.
It's like a zombie apocalypse coming through the front door. What's going on here? Even like Paddy Ryder's like, you know what? I want to come back to Melbourne and stuff Essendon. I want to go to St Kilda because that's where everyone's going. What's going on?
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
I don't know how they got everyone, but they managed to do it.
I would be so upset if I was in North Melbourne. I reckon you just go and buy yourself like a nice bowl of red and just sit in the corner, I reckon.
Absolutely.
Livid.
Like you said, so they did get some big ticket players, but whether or not they're actually upgrades, I'm not really sure. So they obviously...
I think they got more team players.
Yeah, they got Hill, Ryder, Howard, Jones and Butler, but they lost considerable assets as well. So Stephen, obviously, is a match winner, but can he, losing him... You'd say him versus Hill?
Did you say Jones?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So Stephen versus Hill, who's the better player? Hill's younger. So you'd probably say, yep, Hill in that role. But Jack Stephen's still a match winner. So they lost a match winner. They gained Hill. Is Hill as good as a player as Stephen in his prime? No, in my opinion, nowhere near it.
But I think he gives them pace.
He does. And it's something that they do lack. Yeah. But they also picked up pace with Jones. Akers, I think, is if he can get his body right, is a fantastic player. But he's never been able to get his body right. Is he a better winger than Jones? In my opinion, yeah. I think he's an absolute fantastic winger. I think he's better than Jones, but they lost him. They lost Josh Bruce as well. They gained Dougal Howard. Dougal Howard's a better defender. Bruce is a better forward. Are they winning that battle? Maybe.
But you put in Marshall / Ryder in that mix, that forward line. You then have...
I do think that's an upgrade because obviously they delisted Longer and Pearce, both of them. And they also got a rookie ruckman in as a backup to those two. But their ruck division's definitely better. Overall, what they've basically lost and gained is sort of on par, but they're down draft picks. So they've spent all of their draft picks, basically.
Yeah. I think it strengthens them across the board, though. Like, they're not the A-grade talent, but I think they're team players. That should actually help them.
I'm hoping they do. And I really do hope that this year they can actually pull it all together. Obviously, they've got a new coach. So that could definitely impact. Some pretty nasty facts about St Kilda last year, though. So they were 16th in disposals, 13th in contested possessions, 13th in inside 50s, 16th in intercepts. So they really struggled turning the ball over. 17th in turnovers, which is good. So when they had the ball, they were using it efficiently. And 3rd in disposal efficiency. But 14th in 1%ers. So they really need to increase their pressure around the ground.
Yep.
I also think they can increase their amount of clearances. They're just so middle of the road with all of them. Now that they've got Ryder, who's a great hit out to advantage ruckman, and Marshall, who proved that he was very serviceable in the ruck, but really he's better around the ground.
He was better around the ground. And
absolutely.
He even spoke about it as well, saying that he wants... Ryder coming in, it's so Marshall can learn off him as well.
Yep.
Because Ryder, let's not forget, he was All-Australian ruckman like 2 seasons ago. He is a great tap ruckman, and anyone that says otherwise is completely mistaken.
Yeah,
Marshall was getting well around the ground, and he was getting so many disposals like a Grundy style
and clearances. Yeah, so he was good at clearing the ball, but his tap work was
and he also acknowledged that he was getting beaten up by the bigger ruckman.
Yep,
the bigger, better ruckman. He was coming off second best. So Paddy Ryder, I think for me, I think they'll be switching between the two. I think Ryder's a great mark and kick at goal.
Yep.
I think Marshall will be great around the ground. But I think in key clutch moments and centre bounces, particularly, I think it'll be Paddy Ryder on the centre bounce. I think
you're accurate there, and he also said that he anticipates it to be 50-50 ruck time, which is bad for his scoring, but I think better for his long-term development.
I think it's good for Ryder.
Oh, I do. I
think it's good for Ryder. I think it's bad for Marshall.
I think they need him. See, the thing with Ryder is he's been an inconsistent forward anyway his entire career, unless he's also playing ruck.
Well, it's funny though because
he can go forward and make an impact.
When he went to Port Adelaide, he wanted to be the number one ruck.
Yep.
That was the whole reason. He wanted to be number one ruck. So now he's gone to the Saints. I think they've kind of said, hey, I think we'll use you as our number one ruck. Well, maybe 50-50-ish, right?
Yep.
Maybe not number one, but...
We need you forward as well.
And I think they'll say to Marshall, hey, learn from him. We'll give him 2 years because, Ryder's old and he might get injured anyway. So give him 2 years. You can now develop your craft. And then in a couple of years' time, I think Marshall will be an absolute jet.
I agree. Now, other list movement they had. So David Armitage finally retired.
Yep.
Sam Rowe was delisted. He obviously gave him a bit of chop out in the back end all their injuries.
Here's one.
Billy. Bailey Rice as well was delisted.
Billy Longer, bye, Billy Longer.
I already mentioned Longer and Pearce, mate.
Well, you should have spoken a bit longer. Bye Billy Longer. And you know what? I actually this is really sadistic. I hoped Brisbane would give him a lifeline and just say, yep, now we'll waste your time for a couple of years.
You don't pay him. It's not even worth it.
He left.
Robbie Young was delisted. He didn't really add much, unfortunately, after being rookie listed the year before. Brandon White was delisted as well.
Imagine being one of the top draft pick ruckmen in the last 10 years. High draft pick, first round, and spudding it up and getting delisted by the second club.
Do you need to talk about it any longer, or are you done?
I would like to. You know why? Because everyone else, Yo's killing it, Doherty was killing it, even Pollock's getting a good gig. That's all I've got.
Nah, Pollock's still a dud.
I need one person.
Don't talk up Pollock.
Don't look at me badly. I need the one of them that's failed. Sorry if I'm going to give him a little prod. Right?
Fair enough. All right, let's get on to the
Have I spoken
premiums. You have, yes.
Right, sorry,
when we get to the rucks, you can have a little jab again.
Thank you.
So look, there unfortunately is no legitimate premium in the defence at the Saints. However, in draft, you're always going to have Savage is always going to pick up some points, and he was taking a lot of kickouts last year. He only averaged 84, but he's still there in draft thereabouts. I don't think he's going to be a top tier pick, but he's always someone that you can round out your squads with. I don't advise him at all in standard. However, Dylan Robertson is probably the big one out of the defence. So 260k defender. Star last year, he was a huge hot topic. Everyone had him in their sides. He obviously had a year off the year before with the heart condition. And he's gone away. He obviously collapsed in the preseason. They've addressed the heart concerns. He's now on medication full time to manage it.
Yeah, he also has like a machine, I think, like a pacemaker.
A little bit like a pacemaker?
Yeah, something there just to regulate, to check how his heart is going, especially with an elite athlete.
Yep.
I think they'll be monitoring it from the sidelines, and then the doctors and stuff will be checking on it and all the rest of it.
He's in full training. He's playing all match sim. There was an article the other day and video going out. He's running with the regular group.
Mind you, in that video, he got overtaken by about 3 players.
Well, he's 195 centimetres. He's not exactly the smallest defender. But look, at his best, Robertson is an intercepting defender who with great foot skills that they use to service and move the ball. He's very much a guy that plays quarterback style play. They get the ball in his hands to launch attacks, and he also can take kickouts.
Yes, and what can he also do, Chris?
Take intercepted marks as well.
What else do they get him doing? Playing lockdown.
They have before, but I think with here's the thing. It is definitely a one to watch because of that. Because he's tall, right? But you got to remember, Carlisle basically didn't play most of last year because he was injured.
Neither did Robertson. Yes.
They've also got Dougal Howard in from Port Adelaide.
Okay, so you're thinking he'll lock down a bit more.
I think
third defender.
Absolutely, I think he's third defender. So he will at times, if there's 3 talls in the system set up, he'll play taller, and you got to expect that with a guy like Robertson. But I think he'll mostly be a third chop out intercepting defender that can also take kickouts. Savage is going to be number 1. You also got to remember that Webster was injured most of last year as well, and he's also can play a third tall intercepting role.
Yes.
So it's going to be matchup dependent. But if they remain healthy, I do see Robertson as a guy that can almost be, and I don't know if he's going to be a keeper, but he can approach that. He averaged 92 2 years ago. I think that he can definitely average 90.
Well, 2 years ago, he also started off averaging like 110 for the start of the year and then tapered off. So I think he tapered off when he started to be a bit more accountable.
260k.
Oh, for sure. If I'm watching and if he plays the preseason and he starts round 1 and he looks all healthy, then sure.
Oh, look, yeah. And
I want to watch Rolls a little bit more.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely watching the preseason.
Everything.
There is an outside chance he's a keeper. And at 260k, if you can get a keeper for that price, I think that you're nuts to not start him.
Yeah, even if it's like a 5 or 10% chance, you kind of still want to take that chance.
But most likely, he'll probably average 80 to 85, which is serviceable enough for a stepping stone to a keeper anyway. So I'm not there's not really much negatives with starting Robertson unless you think he's, let's say you start him in round 3, he doesn't play anymore. You just can't do it because of his heart issue. Definitely preseason watch to watch his role, but I do think with the tools that they've got down there now, and the way that Carlisle, I watched an interview with Carlisle, he was speaking so highly of their defence and how they're all going, and they're finally ball back and not injured. They had such a bad year with injuries last year, so I do really think even Callum Wilkie. So I don't think Callum Wilkie starts round 1. But if one of those guys gets injured, Callum Wilkie comes in, plays that role, and then it still frees up Robertson. I still think that they don't want him necessarily locking down. They want to use his foot skills. So, one to watch, but it'd be hard not to start him if you haven't got him in your team.
Fair call.
The one that I am interested in, but I don't think it's just his time, and he's sort of unfortunate. Hunter Clark, 402k defender, a little bit unfortunate because he came out the back end of last year and was absolutely dominating, playing pure midfield. He was looking at every bit of the breakout, and then what happens? Dan Hanbury comes back, takes his role, he gets pushed back to a back pocket. Hanbury goes 100, and just goes, yeah, sorry, mate, and he just drops off to 60s again. So with the addition of Hanbury fully fit, because he looks every bit the part of going to be playing that midfield role this year.
Yep.
Brad Hill coming back and playing on a wing or on the ball. I don't think there's any chance that Hunter Clark comes back and plays any mid-minutes early in the season. I think it's more likely that he probably plays off half-back again, with the off chance of just with some mid-minutes rotating.
I'm with you. I think you have a look at, I think Seb Ross, I think you
Zach Jones.
Steele, I think Jones, I think will be probably maybe more wing / half-back, possibly wing.
Yep. I think he plays wing or half-back.
Hill will be on the wing as well, so then I think you have Hanbury, Steele, and Sebi Ross. I think they'll be their three mains.
Luke Dunstan, I thought, played fantastic
and
last
Dunstan
year.
Rotating.
Yep. I can't see him having a top 4 mid-roll. It's definitely going to be a rotation. He'll get some mid-time.
I think they might
enough to break out.
Rotate him back even. He'd be great off the back line, Dunstan.
Yeah, no.
He was a good kicker until he butchered this year.
Yeah.
This year his efficiency was horrible. I'll find it. You go.
So for me, it's an avoid, but someone you might want to pick up in a...
I was wrong. 83% disposal efficiency, 80 by foot.
Nice.
So that's awesome, actually.
I think that, obviously, in keeper leagues, still keep a hold of him, because I think at some stage, Hunter Clark's going to go bang.
I've got him. Anyone want him?
I'll trade you for him.
Thank you. Let's work that out.
But it may not be this year. So, look, I wouldn't touch him in standard at all.
No, 402k, too expensive.
Is there value there?
Probably where he is. Because he if he gets a roll, he'll go up, and if he doesn't, he'll stay there and go down. So I don't know. It's hard.
Yep.
It's hard.
Now, moving on, midfield. Unfortunately, like the same story, that we just don't know exactly how they're going to line up. So there's roles all over the park, and where they sit, I don't know.
I actually think if Billings doesn't go on the wing and replace like Zach Jones or whatever,
I think he gets pushed out.
I think he goes forward, and then I think Billings will play forward more this year, and then he'll pinch hit into that midfield to get that dynamic rotation.
He's much more valuable to St Kilda as a forward.
He is. I think now with their inclusions, I think they need him now more of
absolutely
that forward flank.
So I think that Billings is a bad pick this year because he's mid-only this year.
That sucks, right?
But you've got Seb Ross, Jack Steele, Jack Billings, Bradley Hill, Dan Hanbury, and Luke Dunstan there. Who's a premium? They're all sort of that 95 average. Steele's the one that could break out if he gets the right role, but he's run with...
Well, no, there's talk about him not tagging this year.
That would be great for them.
There's talk about it, so they're saying, I think the new coach now, I think they just want to unleash it, and I think Steele could be the bull.
Yep.
And I think that you have Seb Ross will probably be the... Steele will get the ball, Seb Ross will be the inside-outside, still accumulating, but trying to dispose of it.
Because he can get the ball. He can find the pill, Seb Ross.
And I think you'll find maybe Heaney will be trying to get it on the outside, off the contest.
Heaney?
Not Heaney. Hanbury.
Hanbury, okay.
The H's. Too many
former
H's.
Swan.
Yeah, former Swan.
Yeah.
Hanbury. I think Hanbury will get that on the outside.
Hanbury could actually... It's one of the guys that... I can't bank him in standard, but I don't mind Hanbury in draft.
Yeah, me either.
Because he's had the history before of the 110-plus scoring averages over 22 games.
115 twice, basically.
Yeah, exactly
114 and change.
There's every chance, and he had a really good couple of games at the end of last year. Yeah. His body's the issue, but he's, by all reports, really fit. I'm not taking a punt on him in standard. I think it's too risky.
Draft you could.
Huge value in draft.
But the problem is, though, he averaged 96, which means that you're going to kind of have to pick him up at around that 100 mark.
And then it's risky at 100, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
That's the problem, though. 96 average. If he averaged like 90 or 88 or something, you could pick him up at a 95 and be like, hey, this is pretty good.
I got to admit,
96 average, though, you're going to have to pick him up at 100 if you want him.
I was really lacking options, and I had an injury in the I had one trade left in my season,
well for you.
and I brought in Dan Hanbury in the back end of last year because it's all I could get. It's all I could afford, right? Actually worked out really well. He averaged really well for me, but I got to admit, watching him play, I love watching Dan Hanbury play.
He is good.
He's great to watch. So
good to look at.
Oh, excellent footballer when he's fit. And I really hope that this year he can come out and actually play 22 games. So good luck to Dan Hanbury.
Yes.
Forward again, same story. There's not really much working down there. You still got Jade Gresham down there. Has been basically the same average and same price for the last 3 years.
Well, who other forwards do they have though? Tall forwards.
Well, they've still got Tim Membry, of course.
Okay, so they got Membry, Marshall Ryder.
I think Marshall and Ryder will chop forward.
So that's it for the talls.
No, they've got they did get some guys off the rookie list that are going to plug some gaps for them.
Yeah. Oh, I guess they got that rookie from last year as well.
Absolutely.
But still.
Yeah, I think their fifth rookie pick was a tall forward as well. So they've got some chop out on their bench, but I don't think it's going to be too much.
Okay, so you think I think that it looks like they're going more the too tall, more
absolutely.
small.
Well, they've got they're tall. They've got Marshall and Ryder. They're both the decent at ground level. So they were looking to apply huge pressure on the forward line.
I think that's fair.
And I think that's
Keep it small.
Absolutely, that's how they should play their football.
If
Anyway.
they do that, I think Gresham could be really valuable for them this year. Hopefully, but we've been waiting for a while.
We have been, because I think, again, I think he's a much better midfielder than he's forward, but he's too valuable to them forward of the ball.
And he's small.
Yes, that's true.
Well, it is.
But yeah, so again, one you want to have in draft, but not someone that you look at in standard at this point, unless
that's fair.
In the preseason he comes out and he's playing 100% midfield, which is unlikely considering the depth they've got in midfield.
Yes.
Outside of that, Ruck, Marshall, one to watch in the draft leagues.
I don't mind Paddy Ryder. I can't really do it in standard because of injuries and stuff, but he did average 106.
Not for me.
A couple years ago.
You've been on him for years in draft.
Well,
you always pick him up super late.
Draft, he's good though, because you know he's going to average you 80, right? He's a forward ruck, so he gives you that viability there in that ruck to give you that cover through the buys, or if someone gets
Someone you
injured.
can pick up on the bench for sure.
I can't see him going below 80, which means that, you can pick him up, and what did he average? Paddy Ryder averaged 82.7. I don't think he's going to get any worse than that.
Fair enough. And value on your bench, I don't think you want to pick him as your starting ruck.
No.
That's not me.
No, but forward line, 82 in a draft league, for someone who could average you 90, if he gets a bit more tapping out.
What I would say is avoid Marshall definitely in standard, but even I don't think you should pick him up in draft, because I think someone will pick him up
Marshall, no.
at his average, and
It's a high average.
I don't think he can match that this year.
Don't do it in draft. Even then, keeper league, he'd be a good one to sit on the bench if you want to hold him, because in a couple of years' time, I think he'll be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you hold him in keeper league.
And not only that, next year he will be a forward ruck again.
Yep.
So I think he is even more viable for next year in a keeper league, so hold him this year. The reason I also think there's a little bit of value there, Chris, I was trying to get on something on the Paddy Ryder train, but I lost my thoughts, so you go.
I don't know. Maybe you need a little bit longer to think about it.
Longer.
I gave you one.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
The other reason. Paddy Ryder tapping down to, you're looking at your Hannabrys, your Seb Ross, your Steele.
Their midfield's a lot better.
Better than Port Adelaide, I think, where you have Ollie and Boak and a few others that are kind of get the ball.
One thing I'll say about the Saints midfield is that they are
talented.
Now, they're not as one-paced as they were. So you got to look at their midfield. They all can burst from stoppage.
Yeah.
They all got that X factor.
They all can go a bit of outside.
You've got the inside players in your Steele and your Seb Ross, but then you've got your Hannas, your Brad Hill,
Jones and your Billings and
your Gresham coming through. Dude, they've got some X factor.
They do.
They just need a year of putting it together, and I think they can make finals.
I actually think they'll be really entertaining to watch this year.
I liked them for the last couple of years because even if they were losing, it's still entertaining. All right. I shouldn't say that. All right. Rookies. So there's not much to talk about because obviously they basically traded the farm for all these players.
Yes.
But they do have one that I really like called Jack Bytel. He was a highly touted draft pick last year. And unfortunately, he actually slid in the draft because he had a huge back injury that put him out for most of last year.
Are you sure you just don't like him because his last name sounds like Bartel?
No, that's not at all it.
Okay, right.
But I mean, good effort? I don't know. Was that a good joke? No, it wasn't. Jack Bytel, so he's 123k mid. He'll be in a lot of starting squads.
Oh, that's funny because just like the defender, that was savage. Mate.
The problem is, of course, with their mid-depth, I don't know if he starts round one, but I'm looking forward to him to be in and around their squad and mix in the early part. So he probably gets named as an emergency if they're fully fit.
I don't know. I think Caulfield and stuff's well ahead of the picking order.
But Caulfield's playing more off a half-back flank.
But he is notorious. He was drafted as a mid as well. So I think they
Caulfield
might go
probably
more
gets more games, though, because he's more flexible.
Yeah, true.
Bytel is just a midfielder.
So
he's only playing if there's a spot open. So I don't think he starts round one, but I do think that he gets games this year.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on him.
I just think if there's a spot open in that midfield, they might put a Billings in, or they might put Caulfield. Or
they might change it around.
They change that around. I think he's more like Richmond injury depth.
Highly touted. They want to get games into him. It's just a matter of time.
Right, fair enough.
It is literally a matter of time until he plays AFL football.
If I see a guy similar name to Bartel, I'll keep an eye out.
Yeah, keep an eye. Look, in the Marsh series, I'm looking forward. I hope that he plays in the Marsh series this year. I'm really looking forward to seeing him play. Which obviously leaves me with a preseason watch. So you want to be looking at Bytel, see if he's going to get a gig round one. Robertson and his role and how the defence line up. And then Hannabury, I think, is the other one that really could add a lot to any midfield. So
I actually heard Marshall might not play the series, Chris.
Oh, really?
Copyright reasons.
Oh, yes, of course.
The Marsh series, I think that's copyright.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I like how you thought this is actually a real thing.
I'm like, no.
Until I said,
this isn't, no, for sure.
Until I said copyright, then the
Yes,
light went on, and you're like,
ding, tell them what it's won. It's a brand new camera. Watch out this bit.
Tell them what we have for him, Johnny.
Anyway, that's it for St Kilda, guys. So thank you very much.
Jinx there, and I think we have 3 teams left.
We
Chris,
do.
we have, was it Sydney Dogs and West Coast?
We'll try and knock him out.
We'll try and knock him out
week.
end of the week. So look, until next time, enjoy, stay blessed. Hashtag 100%.
Hashtag 100%.
Yeah, well, we need more 100% in here, Chris.
Fair enough. Catch you later, guys.
All right, bye.